Happy Valentine's Day to all of you, our viewers, wherever you are finding yourself tonight. I believe it's the day of the lovers, they say. Those of you who are celebrating the day, there's some who don't celebrate Valentine's Day, but those of you who are celebrating the day, we say good evening. Welcome to the 128th edition of the Issues Room. The Issues Room is a social media platform here, the alternative emanating out of Liberia to discuss pertinent issues to the country, the continent of Africa, and that of the Black diaspora. We are here Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'd like to encourage you to share the word, encourage others to join us. This is one of the platforms that enlighten you, gave you the opportunity to know what's trending in the country, what's trending in Africa, and the overall universe. Again, we say welcome, welcome, welcome. We invite you to share the link, invite someone. Thank you very much, Raymond Clark, for joining us. Please crusade the platform here tonight. Those of you who are coming on, we'd like to hear it from you. Come in the chat room. Let us know you're here because everything we talk about relative to Liberia, particularly our audienceship, we say that a lot of you are impacted by Liberia's problem, whether positive or negative, meaning in a positive or negative way. So we're here Tuesdays and Fridays just to discuss issues from Liberia, political, religion, health, sports, whatever it is. We cover it. And so we say thank you for joining us. Ferjimon, you, welcome, welcome. I'm Volcano Shelton with you here this Valentine's Day, and I'd like to join Moses Sandy out there in Delaware quickly for our intro. We have a jam-packed conversation tonight. In fact, one of our media colleagues will be joining us momentarily, Afonso Yeno. He's a social rights advocate and also a journalist. So we're going to have a good conversation here tonight. Welcome, Moses. Happy Valentine's to you.
Thank you. And
Or
with you the same, my
Valentine's
man.
Day.
Yeah, with you the same, Europe. Are you already, have you started the celebration?
I don't celebrate Valentine's Day.
Oh, really?
No.
I do celebrate. I do celebrate. I've already, you know, introduced my wife, my lifetime partner to my many friends. Yeah, I'm happy to have a partner. I'm very, very dedicated to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me quickly say welcome to Afonso Yeno. Afonso, you're live. Good evening. Welcome. You had a better lighting. What happened? And
Yeah.
you're a little too zoomed in. It's like only your head.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
All right.
there you go. Go back a
You
little.
want to improve your lighting a little bit and come back?
Yeah, let me try that. Let me try that.
But just do
Yeah.
your intro quick.
Yeah.
Welcome. We're back here again on it 128. All right.
Yep. All right. Sure.
Okay.
Did you want me to go?
Yeah, just do that and then you can figure out what you want to do.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I mean,
gentlemen, for
if you
having
want to
me here.
continue,
Moses. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
No, thank you, gentlemen, for having me here once again. I think this is a really great platform to discuss really very important issues impacting our community and our country. And I'm happy to always be here with you all to contribute to the process, contribute to the very significant contributions that you are making to the advancement of our country by having people understand what's really going on the ground and giving people an opportunity to debate the issues.
Thank you. Thank you. So do your adjustment. We'll come back to you. So we're going to be looking at three important topics tonight. But before that, I'd like to quickly say to one of our discussants who've been here before, Yasendi Martin Kweye celebrates her birthday today. So the issues room say happy birthday to you. We wish you very well. And I don't know what your Valentine look like, but celebrating on Valentine Day and you come to think about it, it's a good birthday. So we say congratulations, you Cindy, from me, and I guess also from Moses.
Happy birthday, Yasindi.
Thank you. Mapu Hall, thanks for joining us here tonight. Moses, we are going to go back to Alfonso once he gets situated. But for trending news tonight, imagine. Nwabudiki,
Yeah.
the famous Nwabudigi, who was nominated to the National Elections Commission. So this guy robbed his way through all of our major integrity institution, but he's a criminal. Okay. So,
Volcano.
uh-huh.
Quickly, let me let you slow down a little bit. He
Mhm.
was not just nominated as an ordinary member, but as chair of the
Okay.
Elections Commission.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, chair of our National Elections Commission, Nwabudiki. Okay.
Yeah.
So Nwabudiki finally got his citizenship last week. Nwabudiki got Liberian citizenship last week, Moses. After all of these malfeasance, after all of what he's done, he entered the University of Liberia Law School. He deprived the
Illegally.
university of the payment of
For international students or tuition.
other state
Yeah.
or international
Yeah.
tuition.
Yeah.
He went in the bar under the premise of being a citizen. He went in key government positions, from chairman of the national election, appointed or nominated as chairman of the National Elections Commission, which we made noise he didn't get. He was LASC chairman, which is the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, LACC rather.
Yeah.
He's also was at the Government Reform Commission. But not only that, he practiced law in the country for all these years. But imagine, the guy also served on the transitional team that ushered in the WIAS government. So after all of that, Nwabudiki is now citizen of our country. So I will play a clip from 50-50 with T-Max Jarate, who brought in I believe, Aloysius Tour.
Yeah. Secretary General of the ANC.
Of the bar, right?
Yeah, he's Secretary General of the ANC too.
Yeah, but he's member of the bar.
Yeah.
And Musa Dean is a member of the bar. But this man raised his hand and was given Liberian citizenship. Let's hear from it then before we go into the conversation quick.
Let me take you back. I like the lecture. Let me take you back. I want to smell criminality in the basketballization of information that qualifies you to be a Liberian citizen. Is that not a Liberian citizen? Is that a crime to falsify Liberian citizenship?
Of course, yeah, it's a crime.
Number two, is that a crime to put yourself as a student at the Louis Arthur Graham School of Law as a Liberian citizen when you were never a Liberian citizen? Is that a crime?
Oh yeah, he robbed the University of Liberia.
Is that also the crime to be not a Liberian citizen, to be the chairperson of the LACC? Is that a crime?
No. In the first place,
no, just answer my question, yes or no.
Yeah, because
is that a crime?
Yeah, it's a crime.
Is it a crime that you voted, you took part in our Liberian election that qualify you to choose and elect the president that we have jurisdiction over? Is that a crime?
Of course, yes.
No, what this key, his name is
Nwabudike.
Nwabudike. You let him right because you grew up together. That's true. You never knew that he was a man with but you grew up with him. Nwabudike did all these things. In your definition, consider crime. How did you get off the hook? How?
In the first place, he obtained Liberian nationality people by fraudulent means. On the basis of that, he defrauded the University of Liberia. You know, at the university, you have foreign students pay foreign fees and Liberian students pay Liberian fees. I'm not too sure whether he went to undergraduate yet because I didn't know him. But I met him at the Louis Adder Grand School of Law. At the Louis Adder Grand School of Law, you were paying school fee as a Liberian. Okay? We graduated. We went to take the oath of office to be admitted as attorney at law. So meaning he lied on an oath, which is perjury. It's a criminal offense. Secondly, he got employed with the United Nations mission in this country as a Liberian professional lawyer under that dubious naturalization papers. So he was paid as such. Thirdly, as you said, he voted in elections in this country on the basis of being a Liberian by nationalization. You are appointed to certain executive positions. For example, he served as he served governance commission as head. At some point in time, he was nominated.
The criminality of this guy, knowing that this guy falsified everything from birth to present to last week, made him to put up his right hand and swore allegiance. This country is not. We used to talk to Charles Taylor. Taylor said the country it's not a country of men, it's a country of law. Where have we gone crazy?
T-Max.
Where has the law gone crazy?
T-Max.
Where have you people gone crazy? Now everybody put a state between his legs, excuse my description of that. And this guy bulldozed, fooled the executive mansion, the executive branch, bamboozled the legislature, voted for him and gave him all the position he had. And nobody picked him up. And now he went yesterday, say, oh, all that I did. I'm not, the system is not Jesus-like to say, oh, go and see no more. This guy committed crime. This guy represented the people that got hurt reputationally. Then he's gone yesterday, last week. He put his hand up and he's become citizen. I test him to the fact all that I did it wrongly. And there's no penalty.
T-Mac, that is my concern. My concern is this. The court doesn't go in the street to look for cases. No, it's not the work of the court. The court sat down.
If the court know, didn't the court know that the guy paraded the corridor of power fraudulently? Didn't the court know that?
I don't think the court knew.
Oh, come on.
Look, T-Mac, let me learn.
Come on, talk.
Let me learn, T-Mac.
So listen, the excuse for the court.
T-Mac.
Come on now.
T-Mac.
The guy with the minister of the oath, doesn't he know Nowodisky?
T-Mac, let me learn. The problem is not with the courts. The problem is with the Ministry of Justice. The Supreme Court mandated the Ministry of Justice to investigate the man's citizenship. If the Supreme Court found out, if the Justice Ministry found out that this man did not obtain the original naturalization paper correctly, it should be the duty of the Justice Ministry to subject him to criminal investigation.
Is the Justice Minister a member of the Bar Association?
Of course, yes.
Musa Dean is a member of this?
Of course, yes.
And the Bar Association took this legal action against Nowodisky and his minister?
So I would think that the investigation of the Justice Ministry should have discovered that indeed the fact that they sat down for you to go back to the court to put the papers together, because it's a whole process. You got to go through immigration, all those kind of things, to reach the point to have taken an oath of confirmation, presuppose the fact that the first one he claimed that he did is void ab initio, void at all. So it means that everything he did was based on criminality. Then the onus now is on the Justice Ministry to launch a criminal investigation and then prosecute him. That is my concern. That is where my disappointment is. For somebody to leave from somewhere, come in our country, bastardize our whole system. The Louis Adder Grand School of Law, the Liberian National Bar, the Supreme Court, to have been permitted. He was screamed, he and myself were screamed together. You know, at the time we graduated from law school, T-Max. Once you graduate from law school, You were screened, you were admitted to the bar to practice law as Antonia Law. After about 5 years, then you apply to the Supreme Court. The Supreme will pull you through the vetting process.
All right, let me just see if I can
examine your
stop here.
nationality, your credentials, all that kind of thing, your moral comportment in the society.
I want to stop here, Moses, because
based upon the law.
we got a lot
If
to
you
go
pass
through.
that test, it is when you are admitted to practice law before the Supreme Court. The men went through all those things. Yes, I agree.
I'm
Anybody
trying
can manipulate a system. But what is important is that if flag, that red flag must be investigated. And if you are caught, you should be punished. So assuming that he manipulated all these institutions, all the processes, he is caught.
Thank you. I don't know where Moses is gone, but just good. So Alfonso, interesting, because when I look at the pathway to citizenship in America,
Yeah.
it's rigorous, it's meticulous, and even if they didn't catch some things, and you go through, when you go to the next level and they snap you, it's over.
Exactly.
It's over.
Yep.
For us to have this man who have found his way through the corridors of our country, and I'm talking about critical positions in our country, integrity institutions, or criminal, march his way, and then you turn around and give him citizenship.
Yeah.
Make your kiss.
Yeah. Basically, Volcano, what that demonstrates is the decay in our rule of law system. I mean, we have sunk to so much low depths that nothing matters anymore. The rule of law doesn't matter. Anybody can do anything and go scot free as long as you have connections in the system. As you correctly said, obtaining citizenship, even in Liberia, not just in the United States, it's a vigorous process. You have to apply. You have to go through the Bureau of Immigration and Naturalization, and you have to present documents to the Bureau of Immigration and Naturalization. Clearly, people in the Bureau of Immigration and Naturalization knew of this man, must have read something in the papers all of this time. I mean, it was public information. So there's no way they can tell the Liberian people that they were not aware. This man was a high profile person. This man appeared before the National Legislature for confirmation hearing publicly, and he was turned down because of a deficient citizenship document that he presented. Everybody knew. As you correctly said, when you apply for these benefits, they do background check. So if they had done the due diligence and done background check, they would have found it out. I would say here that it's not the failure of background check, it's the fact that Wambudike is connected. And when you're connected in Liberia, the rule of law doesn't apply to you. That's exactly what happened. I will go one step further. Whoever the gentleman was who was being interviewed by T-Mac said,
Augustine Toll,
Councilor, is the Justice Ministry that we should blame and hold accountable? Yes, we should blame the Justice Ministry, but we should also blame the Bar Association. We should also blame civil society organizations. If the government is corrupt, if the government is not adhering to the rule of law, who's going to hold their feet to the fire? Moses, you made the point earlier, and I think Volcano, you also did, that the Justice Minister is a member of the Bar Association. The Bar Association has a code of conduct for members. What is the Bar Association doing to its members who are violating those ethics, who are violating the code of conduct of the Bar Association? It's not sufficient to sit down in these institutions, the Bar Association, etc., and just criticize. Growing up, what I used to see lawyers do, the Mambandis and other people of the world, who actually go to the courts and file writs challenging actions by the government or inactions by the government. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened for a very. We need in a democratic society, you need to hold your leaders accountable. If you don't hold them accountable, they exercise absolute power, and
Moses.
that's part of what's happening in Liberia.
Look, I would like to differ a little bit with my friend and brother, Alfonso. Alfonso, you and I and Volcano, the three of us here, we are in this country legally. They have a system in place that vetted every one of us, whether we qualify for the legal status that we enjoy today. It was a rigorous process. And like you said earlier, Alfonso, the name Nwadigi is not an unknown name in Liberia. If this man submitted a petition to immigration for naturalization, my assumption is that they have a system, they have a structure in place that scrutinizes applicants. And for the immigration to clear this man, the immigration that is supervised by the Ministry of Justice to clear this man. Like you said earlier, when you are connecting in Liberia, the law doesn't apply to you, especially laws that have the propensity of denying you of things. If you are in the wrong, those laws don't apply to you. Unfortunately, that's the Liberia that we have today, and that's why people continuously say that Mr. Weah's ascendancy to the presidency of Liberia has undermined almost everything in our country. How do you have a justice ministry? How do you have a Bureau of Immigration that clears an individual before someone gets elevated to the level of being naturalized as a citizen? It becomes the work of the immigration to do a thorough scrutiny. The man committed what? Perjury. He lied on an oath. This God name is not a strange name in Liberia. So I would not have problem with the bar association for say or not saying anything or civil society not saying nothing. It's just that we have a breakdown in our system. Our institutions are not effective. When you and I applied for change in status in this country, people did not go to court to challenge it because they know they have a system in place.
Mhm.
Those who did not qualify, what happened to them? They declared them what? They declared them inadmissible. It means that they could not reside in the United States. They were removed. So to have someone with a criminal background being cleared by immigration and filed that, everything falls back on the Ministry of Justice. It falls back on the inefficiency of the we administration.
But let's stop there, Moses, and let's play
Yes.
devil's advocate here for a minute.
Yeah.
Abu Diki served the Ellen government, Ellen Johnson government for a long time. So don't go there with the we are administration. This
No,
thing started then.
a
I'm telling you.
situation then had not come to the fore.
But-
right,
but-
Alfonso?
Yeah, but equally,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
I
correct.
agree. I agree in part.
Mhm.
I agree in part. But what I'm saying is that it means that our system was broken even before we asked government, and it's now becoming compounded by the lack of taking the actions necessary. I think that's where you should be coming, right? Because he now has the responsibility, and off the record, I told you that if Musa Dean is meeting the president for his briefing, those are some of the items that's supposed to be on the agenda.
Of course.
When I meet my boss, I'm going with agenda items that I want to put before him to advise. So, Mr. President, we got this Mapudiki man sent to National Elections Commission, and people kick him out, and now he want to be Liberian citizen.
Yeah.
And this is the situation. But I know you're not a lawyer, but here's the law. This man committed crimes, and here are the crimes.
Crime, yeah.
Should we allow him? right? I think we are, even if he was sleeping or something, he would say, "No, my man, you the law man. Say he said that crime the man committed, let the law take its course."
He was sleeping. What do
Yeah,
you mean if he was sleeping?
yeah. If even he was sleeping, I want to see like you woke him up, you woke up, and you put it before him, and he didn't process it.
He said, my man,
Just the
so
fact that,
Musa, did you
yeah,
handle that one?
yeah, just the fact that the law. So let's put. I think the point here is that they are failing to do what the
What is supposed
previous
to do?
regime failed
Yeah,
to do,
yeah,
and then it just makes the problem exacerbated to a point where it now becomes common. It now
yeah.
Yeah.
becomes second nature. Because where on earth, look at those countries around us, even in Ghana. Ghana, that is an English-speaking country. How many Liberians are citizens in Ghana? Even the children born on Buduburan camp do not have citizenship. I got 2, 3 beginning work at my job. They were born in Ghana, but they had to come to America through resettlement on Liberian document.
Imagine that.
So I'm just telling you how tight those other countries are when it comes to the citizenship. But our own country, we take our passport and we give it to Chinese man. We take our passport, we give it to Indian man. We take our passport, we give it to all kinds of people. And
Yeah,
we devalue ourselves in the community of nations when we do that. Because even at immigration stops, when the people look at these people, they know. They know. We have just continued to devalue ourselves. And this is one plain example that this man committed all of these crimes. All of these crimes. And you then take him back to the podium and swear him in to be a Liberian citizen. Now he has the right to vote in 2023 elections.
He already had the right before he became citizen. He
Yeah,
voted.
he voted before.
yeah.
But
And
now
that-
you created the clear pathway. So
Yeah.
this government can nominate the guy again.
and,
Who
and,
knows? Come on, Moses, let me just say this quick. Who knows with all the noise being put on David Etta Brown, whether it's not a flaw
yeah.
for
It
this
could be,
president to re-nominate this guy
yeah.
to the
Well,
National
this is,
Electoral
yeah,
Commission.
yeah, to go
There you
and
go.
take it over.
Think
You
about it.
know,
Think
but
about it.
Exactly.
mhm.
So Moses, you and I
Yeah.
didn't
So
have a disagreement actually, even though you said you were disagreeing with me. I totally agree, 100%,
yeah,
that it is
yeah.
the system. It's the
It is.
fault of the system, the justice ministry, the Bureau of Immigration, and for Canada to even add to the point that you made. The justice minister doesn't even need to go to the president to
No.
discuss citizenship
Oh
of
man,
Mr.
I'm just saying,
Wambodi.
just as
Yeah,
part
no,
of
you're
the,
right. You're right. You're right.
sometimes the
Oh yeah,
situation
but
can be
man, sometimes you can
convoluted.
have
Exactly.
discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You're
you're
right.
yeah.
right.
It
You
can
You're
be
know.
right. I
Yeah,
convoluted.
agree.
yeah,
Listen,
Yeah.
I know that there's some decisions that I can make
Hmm.
independently
Yeah.
without going to my boss,
Yeah.
but just
yeah,
for to pick his
Yeah.
brain.
yeah. Just
Yeah.
keep the man in the loop. Yeah,
Because
you
this
know.
man,
Yeah.
no, the justice minister, you said that earlier, presides over is the boss of the Bureau of Immigration and Naturalization.
Right.
So, and he was aware of all of these things that were going
Of
on. The
course.
Bureau of Immigration and Naturalization falls under the Ministry of Justice.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
The
the National
Minister of
Police Force.
Justice was aware of Wambodike's situation. He
Yeah.
can't tell us he wasn't aware. He's a
He
member
was.
of the Bar Association that was mandated by the Supreme Court to investigate this man. He's clearly aware. Um, and as justice minister, he was actually mandated by the Supreme Court to investigate this man. So there's no way he can say he's not aware. There's
Yeah.
no way if there wasn't a corrupt practice and a corrupt system to allow the bureau under his authority to grant this man citizenship. Didn't even need to go to the president to do that
Yeah.
because the documents are there. The evidence is clear. Again, is the rot in our society. Nobody is held accountable. There's no rule of law. Anybody can do anything and get it. And why wouldn't it be that way? I mean, we see people walking around. We see people who are accused of stealing millions of dollars walking around flaunting wealth around all over the place. We see people who are accused of murdering other people openly walking around and nothing's happening. So the belief here is, oh, if that man can steal $5 million and go, why I can't steal $100 million and go? If that man can kill 500, 100 people, well, I just killed two and three. So what that does essentially is that it increases corruption, it increases violence, it increases the violation of laws in the country. The point I was trying to make, and before I end, is that we know we have a corrupt system, we have a corrupt government. We, our civil society institutions and individuals, what is our role in, at the very least, exposing these people as a way of holding them accountable? Like, for example, what you guys are doing right now, just raising the issue, creating awareness among the Liberian people is very, very significant. The
That's
Bar
right.
Association, on the other hand, or even, other civil society organizations, going to court, and challenging these decisions by these weak and corrupt institutions of government is also another way of exposing them and holding them accountable. And that's the point I was trying to make, not to absolve them of the corrupt actions that they've carried out, but to illuminate those corrupt actions that they've carried out and to try to hold them accountable. We all, what, three of us here were in Liberia during the Taylor administration and other
Yeah.
administrations. We were bringing issues up as a way of, promoting accountability and justice and the rule of law. Unfortunately, not a lot of that is happening in Liberia nowadays.
Thank you. Listen,
And,
if you just
and,
joining
and
us, we're here in the issues room. Moses is 7:33. We got to roll.
I
Uh,
just wanted to make a question.
30
Okay.
seconds.
Go ahead. Yeah. Okay. Quickly, what I wanted to say, Jeremy, for every time we discuss these things, a situation like this is an embarrassment for the we administration. If I were in the position of George Weah, tonight Musa Ding will not be Minister of Justice. I would dismiss Musa Ding. I would dismiss the Commissioner General of the Bureau of Immigration and Naturalization immediately because they are
And
not in
revoke
the
his
interest of the
citizenship.
country.
And revoke the citizenship.
No, I mean they are citizens of. Or I will revoke the citizenship.
That's what I mean. The
Yeah.
Nwabudiki citizenship. I'm
Yeah,
not
I will
talking about
revoke the
Liberia.
citizenship,
Yeah.
and I will dismiss this Indian guy. I will dismiss Musa Deen. I will dismiss the Commissioner General of the Bureau of Immigration to set a precedent. My man, Liberia has to be a country of what? Laws, but not of men.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So just to say in 10 seconds, I will hope that one of the integrity institutions in the country will be it a bar, the press union, or civil society can file a lawsuit of revocation of his citizenship,
Yeah.
because I think it's gotten on a bogus act. Is he didn't go through any rigorous process. The man has lived in our country for thousands of years. He has enjoyed every good deed without being a citizen, and has the stomach to come and stand to be sworn in as a citizen. I think that our underlying factors here that we must consider. One of those things, as I said, I won't be surprised if this man is not re-nominated to be the National Elections Commission chairman before 2023 national elections in October. I'm just telling you. I mean, sometimes you got to see things
Oh yeah,
from a
yeah,
perspective.
yeah.
You got to see it from a perspective, and
yeah,
history is there.
yeah.
But we talked about, the situation with our security force. Again, maybe we can make the case here tonight. The immigration is underfunded, like the guy who went to the Senate to make his case. We can also say that the National Police Force is underfunded. We can say that many of our security institutions are underfunded. Moses, you talked about the budget. You talked about what was put in the budget. I hope you have the numbers there so we can break it down. Because what we believe here that
Yeah.
if we're not solid enough, then this can impact our elections come 2020, come October 10. We already in 2023, come October 10. And when you see EPS officers are parading in partisans t-shirts and wearing caps, but then carrying state-owned weapons, that's a fright by itself. So all of this has, and again, I continue to say that most of our topics now are aligned with the outcome of our elections. And if the people who are supposed to vote, the Liberian people who are not paying attention to some of these things, there are subtle ways of telling you that your election is already in peril. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah.
It's coming to be in peril, and there can be some very, very interesting outcome. So let's start with the budget first for national security.
Yeah, I would like to start on the note, but just buttressing the point that you made that 2023 elections has already been declared as being endangered as a result of the inadequate funding to national security, the ill preparedness of our national security sector, to mend the process, you know. Now, when we speak of national security, what are we talking about? We're talking about a group of security entities in the country that have the full responsibility of ensuring that there's rule of law in Liberia, protecting the safety of our people.
And
So
our
we're
borders
talking
to
about, yes.
expand to our borders.
So yeah, so we
And
talk,
that includes the army, right? The
yeah,
military is a part
yeah,
of
national
national
security.
security. Good,
Yeah.
good.
So like you say, the military, the police, the
DEA,
NSA, the Labrador Drug Enforcement Agency, Fire Service, the Bureau of Correction. I mean, the Bureau of Correction. The Bureau of Immigration Naturalization Services, and the list goes on. These are the institutions that make up our national security. So I had the opportunity of watching the appearance of the Minister of Justice, Musa Dane, along with the Director of Police. And one of the senators, Monserrato County Senator, had the opportunity of, breaking down in numbers budgetary allocation to national security. According to him, in 2022, the Liberian government in its national budget allocated $102 million for national security. The of the drug enforcement agencies. So in our budget, and this is laughable. Actually, government out 20 million national police. And as I listened to the director of police, he said of that money, approximately $18 million used for operational costs, salaries, vehicle maintenance, and the list goes on. So you have less than the $2 million that are used for others. So you see the challenges of the police. The fire service, $3 million. Volcano, Alfonso, $3 million to run fire service. How do you do that? Do you know how much one fire truck costs? And the $3 million we're talking about, a little over $2 million is for salaries. So that's why you have a fire service bureau that is ineffective. The drug enforcement agency, these are the guys that are supposed to be going against hardened criminals, that try to infiltrate our country with substances, illegal substances. How much did they get? $2 million. Isn't that preposterous? How do you fight criminals coming into your country with $2 million with a budget? How do you pay your staff? You don't have even vehicles. Okay? The Bureau of Correction that operates the Central Prison. The Central Prison was built in the 1940s. It was built for 300 inmates. Today, you have more than 1,300 inmates in there. In fact, Minister Dean said it has gotten to a point now that they even find it difficult to feed those people. When you restrict the rights of people and you don't feed them, then you run into trouble with the international community. That's human rights abuse. No funding.
So
People
quickly,
incarcerated.
so
Yes.
quickly, man, Jetty now. So Jetty doing social corporate responsibility. He's the one feeding the people. I think every weekend or
Yeah,
something.
he goes there. Hell,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they put that one on Jetty. They say for all the money you're making out, he could.
So, man,
The man, the man is the sole he's the only one I'll put it the sole he
yeah.
has sole ownership on producing steel rods in the country.
Yeah,
All our
yeah.
scrap metal, they sell it back to us for almost $20 a piece. So that
Yeah.
is responsibility to feed the prison,
Yeah.
the prisoners at the prison compound.
Yeah, so to wrap it quickly, the EPS is also under national security. Okay. Uh, in 2022, the budgetary allocation for all the institution it was $102 million. The critical period 2023. This is laughable. The critical period when elections are around the country, I mean around the corner, what did the government do? Allocate $98 million. You do the math. It means that they reduced the budgetary allocation by $4 million. So I listened to Senator Kanga. She said the national security situation in the country is in crisis. As I speak to you right now, the police has a man shortage power. I mean, has man shortage. There's a gap of 6,000 men in rural Liberia. You have no police presence. The prisons are overcrowded. In fact, in Maryland County, you have no prison. Police officers, the average police officer in Liberia today earns $135 a month. How do you expect this man to be honest? Let me stop there and let you guys, weigh on this. Look at all these problems.
Yeah, and it don't seem to be and people are not making the effort to address them. They're putting monies in the budget for themselves. Alfonso, you look at
Yes.
the legislature, you look at, I mean, it's a sad thing. And what bothers me, and honestly, here is that these people want protection, but they want to amass all this wealth. So how will you be protected when you take away from the people and they go amok and they go crazy? You really think that those things would belong to you? They're coming after it.
Hmm. And sadly, this is happening in a government that brags every day that they're generating the most revenue ever and that they have the biggest
Biggest
budget
budget,
ever.
Yeah.
So
budget to nowhere.
yeah. So what puzzles me is where does the money go? If you're not funding these basic institutions, where does the money go? National security, safety and security of the citizens is a primary, I would say number one
Of course.
responsibility of every
Yeah.
government.
Yeah.
Now, if you can't even provide safety and security to your people, that's the reason why when there's a crime, when there's robbery, when there's whatever, the citizens have nowhere to turn to. That's
Okay.
the reason why the citizens have been taking the law into their own hands as well. They grab somebody and say this person a rogue, and they treat them anyhow because they know the police will not respond. There's no police that will respond. I've heard stories of people going to police, walk into a police zone or a depot, to call for police, and they say, "Okay, we'll come in the money, or we don't have a car, or get us money so that we can
Yeah, pay
come."
our way. The man told me to
Oh
pay
Pay
our
our
yeah.
way.
way. Uh,
Oh
or they
yeah.
go there, and there's a whole police depot that's taking care of a whole community at night, and there's just maybe one or two police officers sitting there.
But every
That
chapel you get to, chief, that girl,
yes,
that girl's in the
exactly.
back candle. Can you imagine you using
Yeah,
candle at a
yeah.
checkpoint?
Can you
And what does
imagine, man?
that a candle? But more than that, what
Oh
does that
God.
say for candle? What does that say, Moses? It means I can park my car with any illegal stuff and
Of
go to the
course.
checkpoint and just give them candle and drive through. That undermines the safety and security of the community, of the people, and of the entire country. Anybody can drive through, and that's how drugs are coming into the country. People get to the borders and they bribe those people because at the end of the day, they have to go and feed themselves and their children. So they allow these people to drive in or to fly in or to come in with all of these illicit drugs. And who
But
knows?
but
Maybe weapons.
but due to
Maybe.
time, let's focus now.
Mhm.
How would this impact the outcome of our national elections? Let's start with you, Alfonso. Uh, what you see could be detrimental here through everything as we come on October 10th, and even after October 10th.
Yeah, I think how detrimental? Very, very detrimental. Very, very detrimental for several reasons. Reason number one, our politics have unfortunately been militarized. So almost every political party in the country now has this brigade of young people wearing berets and walking around and ready to attack people. The ruling party it's an elite when it comes to that. I mean, we've heard University of Liberia students being attacked simply for just as a peaceful sit down or protest. We've heard politicians campaigning being attacked, etc. And you just mentioned EPS soldiers, basically wearing EPS uniforms. I mean, yeah, political party uniforms and holding guns supposedly that belong to the country. Who knows if those guns even really belong to the? Maybe that's their own guns, that CDC guns that we're carrying. Who knows that? So for that reason, yes, and elections are usually a flashpoint for conflict because when people go to elections, they expect to win, they expect the process to be free, fair, and democratic. When it's not free, fair, and democratic, there's a tendency, history tells us, for people to resist, for people to fight back. Now, if you don't even have a police force that can respond to simple crimes, how's it going to respond to, major electoral violence tomorrow?
But interestingly, quickly as you continue, everything is so reactionary. Think
Yeah.
about the stampede the other
Yeah.
day. Nuclear Town. Historically, we know Nuclear Town that grumble spot. A grumble spot. You and I know when it said the man from Nuclear Town. And I'm not saying it in a derogatory
I,
way,
I
but
know, man.
it
Yeah.
just
I
tells
mean,
you.
that's the
I'm
truth
coming.
of the matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
That's
just
the
tells
truth of
you
the matter.
that
Yeah.
if you're planning this parade, you must have security close by. I mean, not parade or crusade. I meant to say,
Mhm.
if you're having this crusade, right, you must have security close by. That what they call him, Apostle Abraham Kromah, should have made sure all of those things were in place. But they
Hmm.
leave everything vulnerable, and then
Hmm.
when things happen, then they
Yep.
become reactionary.
Yep. Yep. And we have laws on the books that says that if anybody is organizing a gathering, they must go to the police, get a permit, and get security protection, depending upon the number of people going to the parade, such as the crusade. That failed. What happened to Apostle? People died. What happened to Apostle Chroma?
He walking around, he's still preaching, and
Wonderful.
nothing came out of those people
We
death.
did 3 days of mourning, and
Yeah,
that was it. People lost their parents, people lost their children.
children. Yeah.
Nobody was held accountable. The police depot that was in the area that was aware of such a large gathering and did nothing. What happened? Nothing. They said they've been doing an investigation. Have you seen the report? I haven't seen one. That's exactly going back to the election process. What if something happens at one of the polling centers tomorrow? What's going to happen? Will we ever see a report? Will we ever find out what happened? Will anybody ever be held accountable? So yes, um, not funding our security institutions, but I believe in addition to that, also not holding security institution leaders accountable is also another issue that we need to look at. When the University of Liberia students were attacked while demonstrating in front of the U.S. embassy, what did the police tell us? They will conduct an investigation. Have you seen a report? I haven't seen one.
Was it?
Yeah, I would just like to say, like you guys have already said, okay, the implications are profoundly huge. One, lawlessness, like Alfonso was saying, Volcano. Political campaigning comes along with a lot of crises. Take, for example, when if campaigns are declared, how do you expect Joseph Boaka to go to or Maryland County to campaign, he would need national security presence because he's an opposition. How do you expect Cummins to go to Lofa? How do you expect George Weah to go to or Nimba? Yeah, we can say George Weah, he has absolute control because his administration controls the resources. But the government is on obligation to provide security protection for the opposition. And the police already has a shortage of what? 6,000 men in rural Liberia, no police presence. So how will the elections, campaign activities be conducted in those counties? Logistics. You don't have vehicles. We go to Kakata, there's a crisis. How is the police, how is national security going to intervene? They don't even have bicycles. So you see the implications in the national election? As we speak right now, a month ago, the government came with this big publicity that they arrested a cache of arms and ammunition at the free port of Monrovia. Have we gotten any update? No one has been arrested. So what is happening? What is happening with national security?
Where are the arms, in fact?
Where are they? Who are those behind that? No one knows.
Mm-hmm.
No one knows. The University of Liberia student that was severely flogged. What has come out of that case? The many secret murders in Liberia. What has come of those cases? What has become of those cases? Volcano, go ahead.
Thank you. Listen, folks, we'd like to welcome you to our 128th edition here in the Issues Room. Discussion centers around, Nwabudike, who is now Liberian citizen. He got sworn in last week. We're also discussing the lack of support for our national security system. That includes every security apparatus in the country. How will it impact our national elections coming up on October 10th? If you just joining us, we'll say welcome. We're here Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We discuss the things that matter. We are the alternative. We want you to continue to crusade our page, follow us, share our link, like us, love us, and we're here every Tuesday and every Friday. We see some folks in the house. Emmanuel Jackson, thanks for joining us. Thomas Awaji, JS Romeo Nabil. We say Mapu Hob, thank you for coming through tonight. Alexander Hayes, Yomontro Krenga, it's good seeing you again. Raymond Clark, Ram Snotton, Kuku Jumoku, he says, if you're not inside, you not know it, my man. Not easy. Our own country, the place I are now, the Liberian way, the place that the country are, not easy. Hanson, Tamba, welcome. Good to see you. Cole, Gloria, Voga, Molva, good evening. Welcome. Good to see you. I know a lot of folks celebrating Valentine's, but if you can just eavesdrop on the conversation, there's a lot to learn here tonight. Alfonso, made a sacrifice away from his Valentine to join us here tonight, and it's all in the interest of our country. So we say thank you.
Before we close, we have to ask Moses a question. Volcano.
Yeah, the man took me away from my bar.
You say you don't observe Valentine. Moses says
he
needs to explain to us why he does, but later.
Let it be later because we got two more areas to cover tonight.
Well, you took me away from my bar.
We open the line, and what we're going to be doing, everything will be simultaneous. If you call, great. Otherwise, we'll just continue the conversation. Now, Moses, President Weah seems to think he has it all. He's in control, and he's going around throwing jabs at the opposition. He's making his case that if I didn't do anything and the people gave me the country, look at what I've done. I built roads. I built Invincible Park. I put a small football field in the middle of West Point. I bring it
in the free tuition policy.
Free tuition, I pay YFE. Look at the thing the president is naming. Look, when your country is It's all in shambles, falling apart.
Yeah.
You're talking national security. You're
Yeah.
talking about paying WIAC fee. And you pay the WIAC fee, most of the students can't even pass the WIAC. Right? You say you're giving free education. The people
Yeah,
say
big man. Don't give me up,
it's
Volcano.
taking read and write. People say, let's take library to library. And here's the disconnect before we open
Yeah.
segment quick. How, Alfonso, what good is bringing library to library when the people can read?
No, they can't.
What
People
good?
can't read.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
good? So I'm just thinking of some of the things that people are talking about that they want for the country, are
Mhm.
bidding roads, are paying YFE, are doing this thing, and you call that development, and that's why we should give you the country again.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
But let
to
me
the equivalent,
Volcano.
Moses, let me just make the point.
I
To
just
the
want to give
equivalent-
you the adjective that he used. He said they are doing things that are unprecedented. Can you imagine that?
Yeah. Look at that. You know what unprecedented means? You know what the word unprecedented? It means it's all
No one has ever done it.
yeah, it's like
Maybe,
fell from the heavens.
maybe you're right. It's really unprecedented for your major development plan to be YFVs. That's
Yeah,
a,
and it could be positive or negative in the
Yeah.
context of unprecedented.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah, cool, yeah.
Yeah. So he's right. Yeah, he's right. What he's doing is unprecedented. We didn't expect that of him. But the point I was quickly trying to make, Moses, when you have amassed all this wealth, you and your cronies, compared to what you have gained within 5 years, going 6, right?
Mhm.
To what you've done, the laying of things that you're naming as you claim to, it is really unprecedented. The Liberian people didn't expect that. But let's go to him quickly. Before let me
Sure.
see. Let me try to get to him.
Oh, you won't get okay, yeah,
Yeah,
put him
yeah,
on.
yeah. But go ahead. You wanted to say something quick?
No, I think coming to say almost the same thing that I wanted to say. If you got a video cue, just roll it. Yeah. Yeah, And the man say he's taking care of healthcare sector. You go to JFK, you don't get money, you become a hostage. Then you say you're doing something unprecedented. What are you talking about, Mr.
All right,
President?
Moses.
They didn't do anything. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. We are here. Everything that we do, they will not talk about it. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. You get free school, they tell you say free school not good. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. Your rose, we build your rose, they will tell you that we will eat. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. We got more women in government, they'll tell you it's not good. Don't mind them. Don't mind them. Today we pay our economy, they tell you say, what kind of economy? Don't mind them. Thank you. Thank you. I'm finished here. Our work is unprecedented. Today you can see in the 4 years, you can see that more hospitals there in the Republic of Liberia, but I will tell you, you're not doing anything about health. Don't mind them. Today, free education in our country, they will tell you, it's not free education, don't mind them. Don't mind them. You tell them that you love your money, they tell you why you love your money. Don't mind them. They don't know you. I've stood for you so many times. We were together when I was not president. We are together. You don't want to see that. Don't mind them. The society that you are in, all of your ghettos that you live, I live in that same ghetto. They never live there. Don't mind them. When I ask those that want me not to be here, I ask them how they grew up and where they grew up. For me, it's not Haiti. I'm from Gibraltar, Clouta, Vata, Koneya. We are the same people.
All right, let me quickly. Oh goodness.
Yeah. See, like, bro, Ballon, man.
It's depressing. It's very depressing.
So I pick up some stuff here, and I like to address it.
Yeah.
The whole don't mind them thing, you know. This guy is a joker, you know. He's disrespecting the country.
Oh, yeah.
The country. He's disrespecting the country. You know, when you talk about where you come from, it's not where you come from. It's where you're going and where you're taking the country. You're taking the country back to Gibraltar.
Of course.
In the truest of sense, you're taking the country back to
The Gibraltar. Mm-hmm.
That's what hurting me. And this sort of things you're talking about here, which we consider unprecedented now that we define it in the context of negativity, it makes me to wonder whether he's really understanding what he's saying. That they don't want you to be with me.
Don't mind them.
Don't mind them.
Yeah. So my brother, that whole idea of I come from Gibraltar, it's become a cliche. What does that even mean? How many Liberians really came from wealth? All of us came from poor, difficult, struggling backgrounds.
Yeah.
So the fact that you came from a poor, difficult, struggling background is not news. It's not news. There were people who used to
You're
I
saying a
wonder
little bit.
he's frozen.
Yeah, go ahead, Moses. I'll just
Yeah. You know, Volcano, it's so sad. It is sad that Mr. Weah, you know, erroneously believes that Liberians are so stupid. He said he came from Gibraltar. He's trying to drive a wedge, you know, amongst Liberians. He bringing the whole Congo and country thing back, the rich and the poor. You, quote unquote, you know, countryman, quote unquote, poor man who came from Gibraltar. When he ascended the presidency, what did he do? Did he not start building mansions overnight? He built for himself 47 condominiums in less than 6 months.
because he doesn't want to go back to Gibraltar.
He doesn't want to, but yet he comes to tell the
He lives
people
in
I came from
opulence.
Gibraltar.
Let's,
Yeah,
let's borrow the crisis word they were fighting over. He
yeah,
lives in
in
opulence.
opulence.
Everything he has.
The 9th Street
Why are you
resident that
making
he
comparison
had,
to
yeah,
Gibraltar?
yeah, the 9th Street resident that he had. Look at that today. It's a mini mansion.
And what did he build in Gibraltar? What did he do for Gibraltar?
What else he doing
What has
for
he
the people of
done for
Gibraltar?
Yeah.
You know, and you
They
think
sit
that
around
he's
and
smarter.
jabbering this man, and you know, and I think the last time wrote in the issues room that do not underestimate the illiteracy and the ignorance of the Liberian people. George Weah could be president for a second term. That's what you're saying there, Moses. And that's why sometimes I ask myself, what's the composition of this opposition? The composition of the opposition. At this time, we are approaching the 9th hour, the
Yeah,
dire minute, like they say in the game.
yeah.
We're not even going to have injury time after October 10. You got injury time. You only should pray to go to the runoff. And the way we come into the next man who flip-flopping, it's going to be crazy.
But remember,
So what's the
Volcano,
composition of this opposition now to begin to be fiery?
we have less
To
than
hit back
8
hard.
months. Less than 8 months to elections.
Who's ascending the podium? I'm not. Sometimes you got if somebody fight you with fire, you gotta fight them with fire.
Yeah.
They book me or they, you know, you want to be super. No, we are taking to the gutter. You take him to the gutter. But I can see it. You know, I can see it.
Yeah.
So don't mind them.
Yeah. This is election time. And do you know how much this man has already allocated for nationwide tour?
Oh yeah.
$10 million in the 2023 national budget. $10 million allocated for Mr. Weir's
And part of that
nationwide
$10 million
tour.
came from the $4 million they cut for national security.
Who knows?
yeah.
It could be.
Yeah.
Now you tell me, right? This is election year. You allocate $10 million for this man to indirectly go on campaigning. Because the nationwide tour is gonna use that to campaign. $10 million.
Just before Alfonso coming quick, let me just remind folks we're gonna the line is now open 404-272-2808, 404-272-2808. You can call us here tonight to have participation in a conversation. Again, this is about our country, and we say this all the time. If you sit there and don't want to say something, that's fine. But we will continue to conscientize, and we can learn from some of you. Some of you know more information than we know, and we encourage you, we implore you to come here, chime in, call. Let's make this a Liberian thing. Let's talk about our country, because again, as I said, there's no dire meaning here. There's no grace period. This is the time for us to hold these conversations. So let me hear from Alfonso quick on what this rhetoric of we are and talking about the accomplishment he's accomplished, and that paves the way now for the Liberian people to vote him in the second term.
So talking about his accomplishment, first of all, is a joke, because I don't see any. He talk about healthcare and building hospitals around the country.
Build
I don't
more.
know.
He said, use the word more hospitals in 4 years.
More hospitals in 4 years
Yeah,
Pretty
than
much.
previous administrations. That's what
than
you're
previous
saying, yeah.
administration. I want to know how many hospitals he built in Liberia in 4 years.
Yes.
I've heard of one hospital, two hospitals, the number 14 military hospital, and the hospital that in Lofa that was funded by the Kuwaitis or whoever it is.
The
What
Arabs, yeah, you
the
know.
IRS funding these hospitals.
Mhm.
So these guys have taken our country to the gutters. It's all about begging for other people to kind of do it for us.
Mhm.
So the IRS built a hospital in Lofa. The number 14 military hospital was built by somebody. There is a hospital built over there. I wonder the $700 million that the city collect every month or whenever it is through the LRA, where does that money go?
Go.
You know, where does it go? Where are they spending it on? Of course, somebody just wrote in the chat 49 days watching the World Cup. That's where some of the money goes. Moses,
Absolutely.
you talk about $10 million
Yeah.
nationwide tour,
Nationwide tour, yeah.
basically to campaign, you know, because
Yeah.
that's exactly what it is. How the opposition doesn't have $10 million to go on a nationwide tour, but it's taking national resources
This is
to
the
go
campaign.
and campaign, which doesn't happen in any real developed democratic country. You have to pay back. You don't even
Mhm.
touch it in the first
No,
place.
you don't.
But
That's
but,
state money, yeah.
but here we are. Here we are. And Volcano just said it. Where's the opposition? Why aren't they speaking up on these issues more forcefully? Why aren't they going to places like Gibraltar and other places that this man is going and bragging to say, oh, we are here too? By the way, when it rains, your homes get flooded, Gibraltar, even though this man says he's from Gibraltar. You don't have drinking water. You don't have electricity. You still live in the mud. This man, you still live in broken down zinc shacks.
They're still using the low stream
Yep,
for latrine.
Of
exactly.
course, yeah.
People hate
So
getting on the
are your
stream.
lives better off 6 years after this man assumed office? This man from Gibraltar. By the
Oh,
way,
yeah.
does he even have a kitchen in Gibraltar here?
But
You
look,
have the opposition has to create that contrast.
uh,
Unfortunately, they don't seem to be doing so.
Alfonso, and if we can not to cut you guys off, the guys
Mhm.
is posting or doing things unprecedented.
Mhm.
In today's Liberia, you go to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They have aides that took water to the bathrooms.
That's very unprecedented.
Very unprecedented. You go to the Capitol building, you want to use any of the restrooms. They have these barrels in the bathroom.
Wow.
So Moses,
In today's
Moses,
Liberia.
let's throw this in here now. Let's make this
Yeah.
conversation interesting. So, any man what jabbing, don't mind them.
Yeah.
When you have a national legislature
Yeah.
where there's no running water and they're
Mhm.
taking barrels,
Yeah.
okay, to bring water for the care, right?
Yeah.
To use the latrine. That is
Yeah.
what? Unprecedented.
Unprecedented.
Yeah.
When
You go
when
to a
you
foreign
got
ministry.
EPS, come here, when you got EPS, soldiers
Yeah.
or securities who should be protecting
The
citizens
president.
and the
Yeah.
president wearing the ruling party t-shirt
T-shirt.
and state-owned weapons.
Yeah.
Isn't that unprecedented?
Unprecedented. It
That's
is.
unprecedented.
Don't
When you
mind
have
them.
Noabu Diki, right?
Yeah.
Who is
A
a
Nigerian.
criminal who lied over years of being in Liberia and held some of the most lucrative positions in the country. I believe he's well off. If not a
Yeah.
millionaire, he could be a couple of millionaire. I mean, $1 million worth. And
About that money.
he
Yeah.
just got sued as
As a Nigerian
as a citizen after committing all those crimes. Isn't that unprecedented?
It is.
Huh? When you have a national security that's crying, police 6,000 shot.
Yeah.
When a police officer in modern Liberia in the modern time making $135. Yeah,
Yeah,
$135. When you have employees at the Ministry of Information making $45 and the president goes to give his annual state of the nation address and say he didn't know, isn't that unprecedented?
It is.
When the president who is sitting in the election season of your country leave the country for 49 days
Yeah.
and go and sit in a foreign nation just to watch soccer,
Yeah.
take more than $4-5 million and put it in your pocket and just go have fun, come back and no deliverable. Isn't that unprecedented?
Of course it is.
So you're right.
Yeah,
thought you were using the word in a
Mr.
positive
President,
context.
we agree with you.
But
Everything you have done
So
is
many things happening in
unprecedented.
Liberia are unprecedented.
Unprecedented.
And that is why we must not settle.
We elect you.
I'm
yeah.
coming. We must not settle for an unprecedented outcome of our elections.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And to add to that, Volcano, these elections are really, really critical. These elections were really the outcome of this election. I think there's been no election more important in Liberia than these elections.
Absolutely.
These elections will determine whether this country goes forward or whether everything breaks down, because we don't have any institution left with any foundation, any legs. If we go back and repeat what we have now, there will be a total collapse. One, everybody will realize that the people in this current structure will realize that this is the last moment to get whatever they can get for themselves. And it will be total chaos, total animal farm, worse than it is right now. So this is extremely, these elections are really critical. They will determine whether we go forward and whether we go back. And I think the U.S. ambassador made that point. The outcome, the process and the outcome of these elections, he said, will determine U.S. involvement, including further sanctions on people and on the country.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Let's go to our last bullet quick because it's 8:15. We're out of here 8:30. So Moses, our man Prince Johnson came the other day. I thought they were on the opposition side. I said, okay, you know what? Maybe the opposition would win Nima County. Yeah. and then I started, thinking
about you,
that he and the ruling party now they're not going to have no more ties. And you sent a clip with Prince Johnson, saying prayers. So let's hear from him.
The man flip flop.
Yeah, let's hear from him.
Yeah.
And also when you to listen, we are I'm not the as a national. You know, I served as the speaker for Amos Parliament for 4 years. In my time, I came back home. And so the Council of Churches also met with me. And now we go with each other, but we talk about things that are present. So those who came to hear being condemned, we have to say, look, I say what is Spirit want them to say to the people of God.
So
So go
yeah.
ahead, Moses.
No, I was saying that like you said, Volcano, I'm one of those who said earlier that Prince Johnson is unpredictable. So whenever he talks, I don't really give it, king interest, because I know that it's very difficult, to accept whether he's saying the truth or not. And he has demonstrated this, every now and then. In recent time, when he was doing all this criticism of the we administration, I told you, Volcano, that this guy was all about, trying to induce the CDC to do what he wanted. And you can tell from the way he spoke. He met with representatives of ECOWAS. He met with the Council of Churches. This is the same man that was saying that he doesn't believe that the security officer that died in Nimba County, shot himself. That's a serious allegation there against the we administration. This is the same man who said that he could not work with Mr. Weah because Mr. Weah would refuse or he kept speech, as we say, from him. And Mr. Weah is not a good leader. And this is the man that comes to pray for what? The Weah administration. He said the government needs money. The government needs the support of the international community. The government cannot do it by itself. How can you be opposing somebody at the same time you're pleading with the international community to lend monetary support to this administration? That's Prince Johnson. He's unpredictable.
And you know what he said? He said
No.
the Spirit led him to speak the way he spoke. Because apparently the same Spirit has come back to him and say, "Oh, my man, go there, man, I'll go visit."
Yeah, but man, I'll go
You know what
visit him, man. They dropped the man late him, man. The team finished. The kid's gone.
So that means the man going back, oh?
The man going back to base.
It's just a matter of signing the MOU, right? The new MOU.
So the man, and to tell you how our opposition, or our politicians in Liberia operate, we heard the NPP going at the CDC.
Mm-hmm.
The NPP has also caved in.
Mm-hmm.
They have signed.
Yeah.
The coalition arrangement, the coalition document or the agreement, they have already affixed the signature. Former Speaker Tyler, his political party, that the what, LPD, DP or whatever,
LPDP.
yeah, they have already caved in as well.
And the interesting thing, the we are government silent Alex Tyler for these 6 years.
everything, yeah. They
But
did not even
Moses,
give them, yeah.
And Alfonso, think about it. You think those coming back is just free?
Of course
I'm sure
not.
the demands are high. And
Demands
so
are-
money's, let me tell you something. And I can allege this, put it that way. And I can,
But you will not be a legend,
No,
Volcano.
I come in.
Yeah, you're not a legend. It's true. They took people took money.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, I'm alleging that they took the money, but they were keeping the money for this moment. Because Alfonso said something, and I've thought about it, that in these first 6 years, it was like, listen, my man, we're getting there. We ain't got no chance of going back. So there's a caller coming. Call up from Maryland. Just hold quick. I'll come to you. Just hold quick. There was no chance of us going back. So let's amass. But in the process of amassing, Liberian people, they're gullible. So when we start dishing up in the ninth hour, it's possible we can get back. At that time, it will be cleaner campaign. But that's the point I want to make. So all this money they're keeping, they got money now to give back. Because people said they brought in 1,000 notes, but they're not on the market. The scandal that they brought in $10,000 note.
Wow.
Yeah, I heard that. And people on the grounds. And when these kinds of things being said, you can't overlook it. But let's hear from the caller from Maryland. Good evening, caller. Welcome to the Issues Room.
Yeah, Volcano, how you doing, man? That's Mark Davis.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I,
Mike,
yeah, I
welcome, sir.
using my other line. Yeah,
Okay. Welcome.
yeah, my bro. Yeah, Tessa, thank you, and thank you for bringing me on. And I say hi to your studio guest. The thing that is going on in Liberia, my brother. Let me tell you something. Some of us we gave up for the mere fact that the same very people that we advocating for, we talking for. And these same people will go on social media to insult us, and then you find them doing the thing that they're not supposed to do. Sometimes I want to say, but wait now, because of the war, because many of the people, they have now gone to rehab, so as a result, there's a deranged syndrome in Liberia that seem to be that everybody just crazy. My brother, you were at Duko. This man, what he didn't do to the late Sawyer, he also come down to executive pop and start causing who they causing Sawyer man and this, that. You are at the Liberian conference, the All Liberian conference. Today, there are a lot of people that died because of broken heart. The same very politician, what do they do? Very well, I was with the late Bishop Dix when he was vice president. This same identical Prince Johnson man with Dr. Sawyer, they went that night before they could take the vote. He went to Bishop Dix, Villa 14, that's where the old man was. And I give the old man the assurance that, look, don't worry, I will back you. I will try to rally around you, you will get a position. He left for there, went to, and because he went to Taylor, and told Taylor that, look, we fought for this thing, and you want to tell me that we sit down here for these same people who bring all the confusion that we're fighting each other, we sit down here for them to take everything. They start dividing the position. Then what happened? Time for the vote. You know what happened? He got up, he said he won a position for a vice president position. That's how Peter Niger was appointed as the vice president of the interim government. The old man left, he came to the state, then the old man died. So, Prince Johnson, as my brother Sandy said, unpredictable, but that man is wicked. I'm telling you, exactly what he's doing. When Ecomo was trying to get him for a base, what happened? He went to Nigeria and do what? And fought for asylum. He's the same man today. So, sometimes I'm kind of so fed up, but thank you so much.
Yeah, all these guys' days are
Thank you so
numbered,
much.
Moses. We got 6 minutes, 2 minutes around the room to wrap up. But, all these guys' days are numbered, and I'll leave it at. Let's start with Alfonso.
Real quickly, I think any serious political movement in that country should not even include Prince Johnson. Prince Johnson is not a serious politician. Prince Johnson is looking for what he can get for himself. So I think the opposition, that's a way. There's a way really for the opposition or any serious politicians in our country to proceed and to win elections without getting Prince Johnson's support. Prince Johnson's support is primarily in Nima County. There's a way to split that vote and take it away from Prince Johnson in Nima County. I mean, you have 2 minutes to go, so I don't want to go take a lot of the time. But I think Prince Johnson should not be taken seriously. Prince Johnson should never be trusted, and everything should be done to really make him irrelevant in the upcoming elections. And I hope the people who are on the ground are able to do that.
Moses.
I agree, Alfonso. I think the people of Liberia really need to come together. Promoting Prince Johnson reinforces negative behavior. All Liberians should stand in unison to make sure that this man is held accountable for the crimes he committed in Liberia. He should not be a hero in Nimba deciding the future of Nimba. When you do that, you are indirectly telling your children that it is good to commit crime and you will walk away. And that's what Liberia is doing. There was indeed a great discussion. And if we mean well for 2023, I think our national leaders should begin to look at national security with priority, provide the funding, equip the police, increase the salaries. That will help to protect the election. Other than that, I foresee chaos. And that's how I'd like to wrap it, Volcano.
I want to look at it from this perspective. We said we wanted our country as indigenous. We claim to have taken the country in 1980. And this is what we've dealt ourselves. This is what we dealt ourselves. There's more corruption combined from 1980 to now than there's ever from 1847 to 1980. Because where are those people? Where the people that came from 1847 to 1980? Where the property are? We see it. But in 40 years, a little over 40 years, look at what we've seen. Look at the damage we've done to the country. We, the indigenous people, look at what we've done to our country. And we really cannot change it. And it continues to plunge deeper into the quagmire it finds itself. All in the name of greed. All in the name of corruption, Moses and Alfonso. All in the name of lawlessness. How can Wabu Diki, after all the crimes he committed, become a Liberian citizen? This man has benefited more than a Liberian citizen in their own country. You don't lock the man up. After locking him up for a while, then you deport him. But you go right back and make him a citizen. There is an underlying reason for it. It's not ordinary. But what that tells the world, what it tells our international partners, that this country, anybody can do what he or she wants to do and walk away scot-free. From the president to the janitor.
Yep.
And until we can get the right government in power that will redefine our destiny, not in unprecedented fashion in the negative sense, but unprecedented fashion in a positive, far-sighted future.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, I don't know where we're going. But again, 2023, October 10th, Liberians who are listening, the few, please, 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 in your numbers, start to register to vote, because that's the only way you can make the difference. If you sit there and say you're tired with it, then it's just going to be detrimental for the country. But I think that much can be done, irrespective of what these people want to do, you know. And I say that's where we're in it. But gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you, Alfonso, for coming through tonight. It was good seeing you. Go enjoy your Valentine.
Took the man for a vibe, my man.
Does Moses have a Valentine lecture for us?
Go enjoy your Valentine.
Well, man, I gotta go celebrate. You know,
all right, man. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you again. You do what you do is a great service.
Thank you.
So continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Alfonso. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Alfonso. It's always a pleasure to have you. And Volcano, I want to say thank you too. You know, it was indeed a great show, and it was very informative. I think all we want our people to do is take advantage of some of the salient information that we provide here, and use that to decide the future of Liberia.
Yeah.
Let me give you the opportunity, my man, to resign.
We are the people now. They say don't mind them. So all the talking we're doing, we are saying
don't mind them.
Yeah.
But we'll continue to do this.
Doing unprecedented things. But the people shouldn't mind us. But yeah, Moses, we're gonna continue this. J.S. Romeo Nebu, thank you so much for joining us. Emmanuel Jackson, Ram Snotton, Raymond Clark, Thomas Awaji. I know you came a little late, but never late. Because you can always go back and watch the show. William McDavis, thanks for calling. It was a pleasure having you tonight. Joe Colibo, Kou Moba, thank you. Hinkson Tamba, it was good seeing you. And all you good people, Mapu Hall, Fergie Monyu, and Alexander Hayes, who say thanks so much to all of you for joining us here tonight. Your Montreal Kringa and the rest of the crew. Good night. We'll be back here Friday, God's willing, again with another important conversation. The 128th edition of the Issues Room. It was a pleasure. All of you go and enjoy your Valentine celebration. Thank you, Moses. Good
Yeah,
night.
thank you for Canada, man. Thanks. Enjoy.